Already going?
Yep, we're going.
Oh my.
Welcome to COZSNUG, everybody. So glad to see you all here.
So good to be with everybody.
Good to be here. Again.
Well, you know, COZSNUG is a word that we've created and are putting out there that means welcoming connection. Or, oops.
Yeah, that chair's broken.
Yeah, that chair's broken. Sorry, Bray.
We can swap it, or let's put it.
Yeah, we do. We have, what other chairs do we have right now? The white one and the...
2 others.
Oh
over
yeah,
there.
we can just
3
grab one
others.
of the other ones.
It's okay.
All right.
So normally what we've done as groups is, we kind of have get together with just the intention of just talking and discussing, about things about life, about, health, about, whatever's going on in our lives. We've asked a lot of deep, had a great deep conversation here. We've had, just talked about great things we've done in our life. We had a few ideas what we're going to talk about tonight, but, it's kind of gotten together just kind of organically.
Thanks for being here, everybody. What is there anything on anybody's mind in particular that feels like a topic for discussion tonight? Like if we just were to throw out a topic of we talk about this. We have some topics that we were thinking of, but we wanted to just see what everybody's thoughts are, if there is anything like that.
Disclosure stuff's getting weird.
Disclosure stuff's getting weird. It's a bit current event kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I think it is interesting. It is an interesting thing to talk about because it's
It's a part of the moving forward and the discomfort and discord that it's going to cause for people stuck in their cognitive biases and dissonances is definitely a topic of empowering empathy.
That's exactly
Right.
How this is going to be coped with on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Right.
I think exactly goes into I think people are going to need to find personal empowerment because I think all these systems are kind of coming into this cyclical end where it's this point where people are going to start deciding what we're still going to keep and move along with in our culture. And I think a lot of these systems we have going around where they falsely empower you. They don't give you they're keeping you tied to it for one reason or another because it wants your energy or something.
I think it would be fair to say that false empowerment is the theme of centralization.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Well said. Amen, sister.
Put it real simple. I think that correlates rather well.
Yeah, so now, so now that we understand there is this thing called false empowerment, what about it? And how do we see something different?
How does it relate to disclosure?
How does it relate to disclosure, I guess, is one
Quit
thing.
seeking an external savior.
External anything. External solving of a problem is just a lack of awareness. What is? It's like a lack of being an authentic self. Because the authentic self, it just is. And we have a being that's between our thoughts. It's just beingness.
Like math. Math just is. We don't do math. We recognize math.
Math is just one art form. Yeah, it's like one way of seeing beauty.
Here's something about seeking external help. Maybe it's like there's aspects of that are a part of the game that we have to play by being on Earth. Like if you break your arm, you have to go get a cast. That's some external help, and you're gonna apply that to other things. Like we can find the motivation to go seek out whatever it is we're seeking, but there is something in the external will show you oh, it's already there. But it's almost like having to go the roundabout way for some things seems to be part of it.
Yeah, I would agree, because I value every single part of all my journey all the way along the way so far, and now I can look back and see how unaware I was, and then how increasingly aware I was, and then more increasingly aware I've always been, and I would keep on getting more and more mature, and there's keeps on oh, I'm not going to be stupid enough to think I can't keep on growing because I'm constantly emerging now. So I can just constantly be emerging into what? That's where everything starts to get really juicy and fun for me, is just being able to say, hey, now I know exactly why I'm alive. I've made a choice. I know I have a why now.
Dogs with no box.
What?
3 dogs with no box.
Oh, is Melly outside? She must have been out on the porch with us.
Really?
Hey, we talked earlier today about, well, let's talk more about this. How much deeper do we want to get into this concept of this, it's a current topic. I didn't even know that everybody's talking about disclosure right now.
I want to kind of go back on what you were saying. Is it, let's say, you break your arm. Even though you're still going to cast, you're still, your body from still
From the
healed
inside
from
out,
inside out. So it's like, it's kind of like, what do you identify as outside of yourself? If you are understanding that,
Well, there's a difference between seeking help and externalizing liability and accountability into another figure or organization, which is, what decentralized institutions are, or religions are, and those people who are like, oh, believe in us and you will be just fine, instead of, figure it out for your fucking self, so that you will know what you will be, whether it's fine or not.
They're exclusive value-based systems
Yeah.
that have been put together. The exclusivity nature of them is what leads to the best they can possibly do is the false empowerment. So there's always this emptiness at the other end because it's just a constructed thing that's trying to say that you're not a fully equal and fully powerful thing to everything else and has full potentiality right now.
The whole thing is like a cell structure.
Exactly.
Buy our things that you don't actually need. It's not like a marketing thing where it's like, hey, we have these things that are good for these things, sign up, So you should buy our shit because
There's a lot of things that we don't actually need.
because
like-
we have clever marketing or
Right.
clever advertisers and script writers and whatever.
But
and
we're
jingle
wearing
writers.
jewelry. We're all wearing jewelry or glasses, and do we actually need, visually, yes. But we need jewelry, we need socks.
well, yeah,
Nail
that's,
polish.
when it comes down to
So-
needs and wants, that's when it starts coming down to like personal, why you wear jewelry, for personal expression, for status,
Wants,
whatever
yeah.
reason you do it.
Essentially, you don't need.
No, you don't
Nope,
need it.
there's a lot of stuff
There's
we
a
don't
lot of
need.
things you don't need.
But as part of that, we find our own self-expression through clothing, hair products, colors, hats, all the stuff we don't need, but we want. It's like, oh, this is kind of showing them who I am.
That can be seen as a need, like the need to express, the need for the world to see how you are, like
The
who
need
you
for
are.
artistic expression.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
with
why
the
monks are uniformly and aesthetically dressed. It's like they're trying to not take that vanity pride or need or want for that self-expression in that way.
Hey, we'll
Right.
represent neutrality right here.
Yeah.
You express from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Glasses are technology, the wearable technology, and like
They've also become fashion
the
too.
same with jewelry. Some
Mm,
jewelry
right,
is technology and is just taken to this other level, symbolic thing to represent whatever hierarchies.
Haircuts,
Not getting a haircut.
right? So is there a gray area in all of that?
Wolfie's like, yeah, this gray area.
I would say that the things that help you perfect your nature and what you feel is good for yourself falls within a gray area. And I wouldn't necessarily say that those things or objects would be exempt from I can't think of the word.
What falls into false empowerment and what doesn't, though?
True.
Fashion can very well fall into that, but at the same time, not.
Right.
You're trying to
It all
express
depends on
yourself.
how you're using it.
Right.
100% depends on your intentionality.
It all depends on if it's participation in a centralized structure of
Trying
economic,
to be like
or if you're just
something
doing it
else.
because you want to do it.
I agree with that, yeah, completely. So
I need to be in a club to express myself. That's that exclusive grant.
Mhm.
But that's a whole process in like what kids are trying to discover.
Mhm.
Well, everyone's wearing this, so I'm gonna wear it, but why am I wearing it? And they're trying to figure out why. Is it because I like it? Is it because they're doing it? And that's, I think, as humans, we're doing that
Yeah, 'cause
with,
there's nothing wrong
as
with
we move along.
experimentation.
Why do I like it?
There are plenty of traps that you can fall into while experimenting.
I mean, it's some pretty good reason that people should like maybe try to approach drugs with more. But they get lost in the sauce, and that's and instead of being able to maintain their presence of why am I doing this? Is this serving to benefit me in some way, or is it become a habituated anchor? Because really, addiction is simply a lack of presence.
Thank you, Link. We today, earlier, Ash and I, we talked about a series of topics that we really want to talk about during this night. Addiction was at the top of the list.
That's a good one.
It's constant. Every one of us has some sort of addictions that we wrestled with.
Everybody's had some sort of exposure to the concept or to people who had treatment for, and the different systems of treatment are all so far in their own exclusive vein of our method, and that's a whole corrupted industry by subsidy. Like there's so much federal funding going into just making sure the beds that our field get money, so people are just trying to fill beds up, especially courts and jails and prisons, without care or concern for the efficacy or seriousness or even that a program can have.
Mhm.
They try to put models into prisons that are kind of contrary to the existing prison political and socio standards that you get yourself hurt for participating in any of that kind of stuff, And I was like, now how is this not a liability concern? Are you telling people to tell on people is a part is okay? So then it's either circumnavigate or try to
There are some that
try to
do
play
care
through,
for
try to play
the
through the whole thing.
people involved.
Right, but even
So
the people
it's-
who are like, oh, hey, this could be a good thing for helping me to understand what's going on with me to, navigate myself better.
Mhm.
Then you've got that aspect of it where they're like, yeah, maybe not.
And just like how we eat, or everything we choose, there's stuff not so great, or stuff that's marketed not so healthy, and stuff that is healthy, and that's where we need to be more aware of, hey, what is this doing for me, and but we don't all, I've done the same in the medical field, just trying to trust doctors rather than doing my own research. And that was not making me healthier.
How hard did you try before you realized this was a waste of your time?
Oh, I got really sick.
Yeah.
I got sick. My health was plummeting, and I was on more and more medications that were making me more sick. And when I realized, what the fuck? So,
Brandy, tell them.
I
Show.
should
Oh my gosh,
have
we
been
should show them
doing
that
more.
video. She wrote down a paper. It was kind of mind-boggling. She wrote down on a piece of paper all the medications that she was taking, and what they, the name of it and what it was for, and she just had this whole page. And I was making a little video out of. I just was scrolling down, like, whoa, one toxin after another, just compounding, something. It was intense to watch and see how she's pretty much gotten herself off of all of this stuff.
I'm on one prescription for thyroid. The rest, for whatever issues, there's supplements, vitamins, all this natural stuff that has the same benefits, but not the effects, not the negative effects of all this. It was medication to take care of this effect, and this is side effect, and yeah, it was all stupid, ridiculous.
And even thyroid with iodine and some iodine sister compounds can really be improved.
I'm on selenium and iodine, so.
Yeah, that's not even medication at that point.
My thyroid is, I just found out, half the size of what it should be. I mean, it still could, but it kicked in and
That's the
started
first time
working.
I heard this.
Yeah, I just told you
I
that.
don't know on that.
I do, but I did tell you that.
I'm just kidding.
But my thyroid kicked in and started working after I had Easton, my second son. And I'm like, how do we recreate this? Something's happening. It can still work. And of course the doctors are like, oh, your body does crazy things when you're pregnant. And I was like, but I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm done. So it's just, perhaps, then they renamed it Hashimoto's. Your body's just attacking your thyroid. So, anyway, taking selenium and iodine and different teas that are supposed to help kick it in. I'm not great. I'm not great at staying on top of everything. I would need to be drinking gallons of all the tea I need for all my organs a day. But it's helped me at least be more aware and conscious of everything. I'm on a more natural thyroid, not a synthetic created chemical one, so. And I'm more aware now, at least if something new, comes along, I'm able to at least be doing more for myself than just staying on the same regimen that may or may not be working. But I trusted the medical field. I have had to my whole life
Everybody's
for
got
other
this
issues.
strange idea of American healthcare, which is like a complete myth, mythological fallacy of mass media construction. There's no such thing as American healthcare. We have
No, it's
American medical system, which is about medicine. They are
about
drug
money.
dealers.
Right.
It's
They are
about
all
money.
drug dealers.
Marketplace.
I don't think it's even about the medicine. It's let's
Right.
push
Well,
off
keeping
whatever
people on the
chemical
medicine.
drug we can say is medicine, but it's
Right.
maybe taking care of one thing but causing a slew of
It's also
Other-
like your body at some point becomes so dependent on that thing that, like, my mom's been taking medication since I was born for literally everything. It makes me so sad because it's like now her body is so dependent on everything. And it's like there are ways to rebuild the things that she had to have replaced. And they were like, no, you just gotta have a full-on knee replacement. And it's just like, since then, all these things have been happening, and it's just crazy. It just keeps, here's some more prescriptions for you, and it's just, that's the rest of her life. And she's like a healthy person. That's just the rest of her life. That's all her body knows. So if she were to stop that, it's like, not even a smart move.
and she's dependent on the system and probably trying to earn a living just to pay for now her health care.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't tell her different. People like her, they just trust the person in a lab coat. That's the one who knows the stuff. You come
Also,
at them
like,
with some
coming from
other.
a foreign country where, people in lab coats are not quite trusted, or the city that you're from, and then coming to America where it's like, oh, these doctors went to a decent college and are actually doctors. So it's like, yeah, something else.
But all they know is what they read in the textbook, which is
They're,
changing
If they
constantly.
even read
they're
it,
doctors of medicine, not health.
Nothing on
Right,
nutrition.
yeah.
it's not even medicine. Doctors are drugs.
Doctors of toxin.
Well, doctors of pharmaceutical industry,
It's not all that
who
way. There's
subsidizes
so
most
much
of the medical
value in all of
institutions
it.
in America.
What do you got to say, Gilly? Hey, say something right into that. Meow.
He gave it a good wipe.
You gave it a good ass swiping right on the carpet right before the microphone. It's like, did you guys hear that? Me dragging butt. Do you guys want to talk any more about addiction? Like, I like that we talk of that. I mean, there's power in vulnerability, and then there's us talking about the concept of addiction is an empowering conversation by its nature.
Yeah, that's an important one for people to be able to hear a rational, objective conversation about it. So, they don't have to subscribe to the banter and one-line propaganda public messages that are proliferated to the health classes and legal structures.
I think-
we should talk about addiction a lot. Everybody should.
I don't think it's inherently bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is something that, what's the word, it replaces, supplicates things that you could be doing to benefit the thing that you're trying to treat. That's a funny because you are trying,
To
you're like
cheat.
you're like cheating yourself into believing like this way is better or whatever. You know, there's these like there's tools and there's the misuse of tools, and they're no longer tools. It's like the thing that keeps one confined.
Mhm.
But also addictions, if we're just looking at like playing with the knobs, getting an ice water can be addicting, you know, because you like depend on that for your mood regulation.
Right, exactly, yeah.
absolutely. And so like that's a beneficial addiction. It's something that you almost like can't. It's almost like you don't have a choice. You're like, I have to do this thing because if I don't, then this happens. And when you're with tricky substances, those rationalizations get like, I don't know, dumber and dumber, and also more convincing. And then you're just like, this is the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really good point. Those aren't the kinds of things that are more. I mean,
Like destructive addiction.
yeah, like addictions that actually, once we realize, hey, I'm in the middle of
Like
self-care
substance.
right now, not self-care. I'm
Substance,
over
right.
the edge of, I'm not caring about myself right now. I'm crutching out. I'm using this as a way to, you know, placate or, you know, stuff or really repress some part of my shadow or something.
So there's that structure of like the pyramid, the hierarchy of needs, where addiction becomes like breathing and eating and water. It's up there with those where that person feels like they will die. Their world's gonna fall apart if they don't get that. Like with breathing, that's that addiction where they're willing to be a different person to get it.
I don't even recognize.
What's up, Alex? Good to see you, buddy. Grab, feel free to grab one of those chairs. It's right, or you can sit right there. Yeah, perfect. Welcome, buddy. We're just barely starting to talk about addiction.
Oh.
Barely, just like 1 minute ago.
I think Link really said it perfectly. I think addiction comes from a lack of presence. You know, when you're really addicted, I mean, you're suffering from something you're addicted to. Really, it comes from when you don't have it, you're constantly thinking about it. That's the really addictive mindset. Is that the second you don't have your thing, you're really constantly there in your mind.
Occupying your mind, or you're habituated, even subconscious, on a basis enough that it's distracting you from things that you want to be doing, or want to accomplish, or you know, the things that are right before you that need done. Right. When it gets ahead of any of those priorities, that's where the lack of presence is kind of the defining thing on that. Where it's like you're not just asking yourself right now, what can I do to you know, benefit my greatest good, or you know, serve the people around me.
Right.
So, because at that point, you don't have time for that shit.
Right, no, you're not even, you're not thinking about it. You're not vibrating that way. You're just not, it's not in your energy field. You're too focused on what you're wanting to be focused on now. The new.
Now.
The now and the new in the now, the potentiality of the new. So right now that we accept everything as it is, now we got a starting point. If I don't accept everything as it is right now and that everything's not okay, well then I'm not quite relatable yet by the definition of relatability. There's nothing wrong with that, but now what do I want to do with that awareness that can I lean into that if I want to and become increasingly relatable? It seems like when I hang out with you guys, my life's more enjoyable. The more we collaborate, the more enjoyable life is. Like, it's just so obvious. We love our downtime. We love our alone time. Everybody loves have their balanced alone time here and there. A little tiny bit here and there.
You gotta do that.
But we are all at different places, and if we just all respect exactly right where everybody's at, it's just so, life's just so much more enjoyable. Everything really is already okay. Nobody in here has anything to prove. No past thing that you've done that is a limiter. You're just exactly equal to all the rest of us, and we're all badasses. Bravely navigating this with very unique vantage points. Very cool when we start really receiving from each other instead of resisting each other.
There's like destructive addictions, constructive addictions. Is there like a left of Pisces? And there's like some that are both.
I can see what you mean.
What's a constructive addiction?
getting a drink
Cold
of water.
plunge.
Cold plunge.
Good water.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
water.
addicted to good water. I can't drink out of a fucking tap.
Yeah.
I go way out of my way. When I don't have it, I stress. I'm like, fuck it, Sunday, what am I gonna do? I gotta go get the fucking snickle fritz up the hill. This sucks.
We like get dehydrated on the days when we run out of spring water
Yeah.
because we don't want to drink the tap water. We're just like getting all dehydrated.
This is so funny. I need so much water. It does not matter where it comes from. I need so much water.
For me, a constructive addiction would be law.
What?
Law?
Law?
Yeah.
Like legal practice?
You could definitely have some academic addictions where you're addicted to a topic of study or an expertise
yeah.
that the OCD aspect of can habituate into a very constructive habit for
Yeah,
people.
that's history for me.
Exactly. Like you and Ash.
I was gonna
like
say,
the
I know
guys
people
live.
who can speak to that.
Yeah, I'd also say it's kind of destructive too because for years I stayed on social media trying to free sovereign citizens from their delusions, and that wasn't constructive for me at all. It was destructive. So I don't know. It's a
That wasn't study of law at that point. That was just proselytizing.
true facts.
Yeah.
Proselytizing can be destructive. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's the exclusive mindset, and yeah, exactly. Everybody's eventually gonna come around to my special way of seeing things. I'm right.
That was a hard one for me. Okay. You know, thank you. Me and my dad used to go round for fucking round about everything. We're on like opposite worldviews, but we bonded over it, and it was so much fun. And it
Wow.
got really intense. We made, people around us very worried. It's like, no, we're good. We're having a blast right now. But that became an addiction. It's like, no, you are wrong and I am right. Let me tell you how to see the world, because if you don't, you're going to suffer. You want to know why you're suffering? Because you don't see the way the world I do. You want to know why I'm not suffering? But I was fucking completely misguided. Like, we all get to do our own version of that and not, like, project it onto others. I think it's cool when
That's
like
right.
minds come together and are like, yes, yeah, fuck yeah, look at all this common ground. This is cool.
Yes,
You
yes.
know? And then that desire to, like, I don't know, fades. Things like this help me to not need to do that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Unless you're with your father who wants to do that back.
Guess
There you
what? Oh, he's made a 180. The man wants to save the forest. He can't wait to eat mushrooms. He's changed his
So he just was kind of a slow, resistant, stubborn learner.
Yeah, but it didn't come from me. He's like, I told him, like, look, I'm tired of this. Go listen to Paul Stamets. Listen to him talk about it. Mind blown. Have you heard about this? Like,
Right.
no shit. I've been trying to tell you this for a long time. Yeah.
Did you say stubborn, resistant murderer?
Murderer?
That's what I thought you said.
No.
Person.
I
Person,
see.
oh, yeah.
Learner. Yeah,
Oh.
learner.
was-
We
I was
know
turning
something
around
that you
like-
don't know.
Yeah, like,
Cam's dad.
we'll fill you in
Oh,
later
no.
on that part, Alex.
I think for me, one of the most powerful moments for my addiction in general in my life. For a long time, when I was introduced to weed, marijuana, I was really just chasing the dragon of the first time I got high for a long years. Probably since I got into it. And there was this point where I was just suffering miserably because I was just, I was never getting to that point. But I got to this point where I was like, all right, well, I just need to frame this differently because I just can't take this story anymore. So I ended up, it was the most liberating feeling to release the feeling of being high, being the dictator of my happiness. Because I felt like I could still pick up and do these things with the intentionality of, oh, I'm doing this almost to, you could paint your experience, or there's so many different stories you can tell yourself that are more empowering than I'm trying to get high. It's just instantly just changing your language can change how much you're doing with any kind of substance specifically.
Yeah, that was about being present. When you're
Yeah, exactly.
Present, you're bringing intent to your actions. When you're bringing intent to your actions, well, then they're going to carry the value of that intent.
Yeah.
Whether that's constructive or destructive, that's still whatever your intent is.
And you can just take that exact same intent and just put it into, hey, I want to get myself high right now by just doing something unique in my body where I can just like generate some energy and get myself high.
Sure.
You can do that. I mean, we can do it fast now. We've learned tons of different ways in Serenity Lab.
Are there parameters to changing the like inherent qualities of something through intent? Like, can I bless some crack rocks and then it no longer becomes this destructive thing, you know? And it's like,
Well, how does it end? Because after you smoke your crack rock, are you going to go streaking naked, praising crack, or are you going to sit in your room praising God?
Maybe both.
Might be a journey.
Depends on how high I
It's
get.
not going to be a very long run.
Are you depleting your body of other things it needs, like food and water and exercise, while you're, like, yes, it could be destructive if you're.
I don't smoke crack.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
I don't need food and water. I just need crack.
So it could still be destructive even though you're praising and healing the world at the same time if your body's being depleted. There's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
A balance, I think.
What if it was like the
Yeah.
perfect amount, the perfect little hit, where it was just a small enough dose to where it was like just on the front edge of it, where it was only helping you intentionally do the very thing you were doing?
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
So yeah, I just smoked crack, but I just smoked crack just very intentionally.
That one guy, that one Finnish guy who took the amphetamines and skied down the mountain.
That's your homework.
yeah, I did a crack ceremony. Like, no, I'm not gonna.
Next Thursday, crack ceremony right here tonight. Anybody got a crack pipe? Who knows how to do this?
I got some crack right here.
Crack ceremony. All right, Kelly, be here. Kelly's
Kelly will be
Kelly's crack is the crack. Yeah.
No, I would say I've seen more people detrimentally addicted to gaming than drugs. Hands down, over and over, like tenfold.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I see what you're talking about.
Huge time sink that you can just sink your entire life into. It's like
It's
gambling.
anything that anything that takes you
Effortless.
into imbalance, anything that takes you into a place where you're not leaning into self-caring,
You know,
full empowerment.
You know all the progress I've made in Elden Ring. I'm almost 200 hours in. I'm finally at Malekith. But there are nights when I'll come into your room to get on your PC. It's like 11 at night, and I'll just grind until 1 or 2, knowing full and well that I should be asleep. But I'm like, the grind. And so that, like you said, it's like addiction to gaming. And that would be
Works
the
a pretty powerful one
Yeah.
for a lot of people
Yeah.
too.
That would be the point where it's like you're depriving yourself of things you need to feed this need.
But let's put drugs on a podium and ostracize that shit and ignore all these other things that are the
Yeah.
exact same problem.
Right.
Right.
In effect,
Yeah.
they're just a little less expensive or even lucrative in the case of
More
work,
expensive.
and probably not as bad for the body.
You could buy heroin for less than a top quality gaming PC.
Right. Well, it's funny that you bring that up about going in at 11 to 1. When I was in college, I would come home from class, play World of Warcraft until I had to go back to class, then go to class and come back and maybe take a nap and do it all over again. And I was playing my friend's profile, so
Oh my gosh.
there would be times that I'd be playing and he would try to hop on and I'd log off and he'd text me and say, "Stop playing my fucking profile and let me play," because I was on it as much as I could. So yeah, gaming's for sure another addiction that is effortless.
was Adderall in the mix over there?
Nope.
You don't
Just-
understand the Warcraft craze, bro.
Well, I kind of
Pick up Skyrim, huh?
I grew up playing
That's not even
Warcraft.
online, and you're just
I
days.
know, oh.
I grew up playing Warcraft, so they came out with
About
1, 2, and
Skyrim.
3, and then they came out with the MMORPG, and it's like, oh shit, this is what I've wanted with Warcraft my whole life, because I grew up playing it. So, and yeah, it's addicting, for sure.
Legacy addiction.
Can it be constructive? Can gaming addiction be constructive? Because you're problem solving, you're working with community.
You turn into esports.
I mean, if I didn't have social issues in the first place, probably, but I'm kind of
Like
socially
I
inept,
did a lot of gaming over the
so.
years. I ended up running an esports team. We got flown out to Europe. Became world champions. So like, I really did the game and gauntlet in that kind of regard. So absolutely gaming. You know, I used to be really big. I lost a ton of weight, and I really attribute to this game I played called Beat Saber on VR because I just play it for hours and hours and hours and hours on the hardest difficulty, and you're just constantly, you know, moving and squatting and doing stuff, and I just get so sweaty. And I play it every day for like 2 or 3 years, and it was amazing for, you know, hand-eye coordination stuff. You know, I played like cardio for sure. You know, for VR was great for physical movement. I love that. But even before then, I was playing with like Counter-Strike. I tried to go pro in that game, and that game was great because it was a team-based game, very time-sensitive, team-based, you know, coordinated strategy game that taught you how to, you know, be decisive in the moment.
Yep.
So it gives you a lot of great skills in that regard too.
Have you felt that affect your waking world? Not to say that your gaming
Like
world is
outside
a
of
dream
gaming,
world,
do I
but
feel
yeah.
like outside of gaming, do I feel like it's helped me? Absolutely, yes.
Oh, big time. In every single part of my interactions with him, I see that constantly. I see world champion in Ashton in every single thing that we do. Constant. It's like not just in the gaming world. It's like it affects every other part of his life. Big time.
It's like, you know, constantly something that gaming teaches you is how to improve your mistakes. So how to watch for mistakes. Because you can keep making the mistake over again and not realize you're making a mistake. So that's just something you can always be more observant, you know, be more aware. Presence is something gamers are really, I've always noticed gamers are very good at. They're good at meditating and presence because they're focusing all the time. It's just a skill that they're already tapping into.
And so make a lot of money doing
No, I
it too,
really
right?
From the
I
States,
play
so-
Tetris. I really think Tetris is better for you than watching Netflix.
I agree with that 100%.
It's more interactive.
I grew up playing Nintendo and stuff, so I've been around games my whole life, and my hand-eye coordination is better than my brother's, and he never really played games. My sister has good hand coordination because she's an athlete, but I have never really been athletic, and I'm really good with the hand-eye coordination, so I attribute that to my years of gaming.
Are you good at like pool and darts?
He's athletic.
I-
I'm telling you right now, I played ping pong with him. He and I were like on fire. I didn't know I had it in me, and we just kept it. We were like on the Chinese. We were on the Olympic. I mean, it was amazing how we were playing. I felt like
They were in China, in their bubble, playing the Chinese.
playing pretty. I mean, like
True.
I watched. He's really athletic.
Yeah, I'm rusty, but I used to play a lot of pool when I was younger, and I would say decent. I'm not like super good, but now that I'm an adult, I think I can wrap my head around the physics more and be better than I used to be. I just have to play more. So I used to skateboard a lot too, but I'm too broken in my body to be able to do that anymore. Too old.
You're so old.
Old
Kelly.
and busted.
You're so
I'm
old.
I'm
Kelly.
36.
Yo, you're so old. Bro.
No,
You are, dude. You just face it.
I
You're
lifted
gonna be
and
62
twisted.
before you know it.
I lifted and
I see
twisted
gray
at
hairs
Staples
right there in your beard,
and
bro.
popped my back, and it's been jank ever since. And it's just gotten worse over the years. And I live a sedentary lifestyle a little bit. So
Staples clearly told you to get fucked.
yeah, because it didn't happen immediately. It was a month later, and one of my coworkers is like, "Tell them it happened today. They're gonna screw you if you don't tell them that it happened today. You need to tell them that it happened today." I should have listened to Manny, because she's like, "When did it happen?" "Oh, a month ago. Sorry, can't do anything." Oh, thanks, Valerie. That's really helpful. Like, cool. I'm 22, 23. I'm gonna have back issues the rest of my life. Awesome. So
Kept your integrity. Got those back problems with man with integrity.
I did the
I
same
look
thing
back-
when those
I-
COVID checks came out. My friends were getting 12 grand. I was like, no, I was working. Right out now, I was working. I have a job. Anyway.
I mean, I'm self-employed and I still
In
got them.
California, they were.
Oh,
My
weird.
friends on the street were getting $12,000. What?
Wow.
Because you had to fucking fill out the paperwork just right. This is what my job was. Now I can't work.
Oh my.
I lost my job due to COVID. I didn't get 12 grand.
No. You gotta tell them what you made enough, but not too much.
Well, I made more from unemployment than I did at my job. So,
Wow.
I mean, I benefited from COVID.
I did.
No, sadly, integrity has no place in a capitalist world.
Which is changing right now.
Yeah.
It's been the case. I agree with that's been the case because we've all been transactionalizing relationships without an understanding of where true strength comes from. It's all been false empowerment, but that day is, we're already past it. It's already moved. If you're not an intentional company nowadays, you're just gonna die. The writing's on the wall. You're a dead company already if you don't intentionalize. None of us want it. We're not gonna stand for just people just money grabbing.
There's something that worries me about that. Like, corporate culture wants to engage their customers. They're like, these are the things we believe, which is a good thing, right? Because it's like trending more towards inclusivity and giving back and being environmentally conscious. Like, these are all good things, but I worry that some of these entities are like playing on our heartstrings and being
Well,
like,
100%.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to know how to feel the vibration of how that feels energetically. What does it feel like?
I'm a skeptic. I don't like any of
Yeah,
it.
I don't get it.
Well, it's all part of you.
Well, if you want a good example, medicine, not healthcare. How many people trust them?
A lot.
Well,
Get a marketing
And-
degree. You'll figure it all out.
Yeah.
and I think
You'll know what
you're
it's all about.
I think you're kind of referring to those what they call those ESG bonds or some shit, the economic, social, and government things that all the corporations are doing nowadays. So I don't know. I think they're playing on our heartstrings because I saw some numbers that didn't make sense to me, and I don't remember what it was from. It was from some electrical company and how they're going to put all this green energy out under the condition that we make a 13% profit off of it. Well, that's never going to happen ever. So they're putting out the false empowerment and the false hope that we're going to change the environment because we're going to dump this money into it. But they're never going to because it's never going to reach their 13% that they say that they're going to want.
But they already got their PR.
Exactly. And so I think that a lot, I don't know, I don't try to doomsay and do those kinds of things, but I think the technocracy's on its way or it's already here. And that really concerns me because it's a corporate technocracy and they're pretending to be for the planet and the public, but really it's just always for the profit margin. And
Well, any publicly traded company in America is legally mandated to serve with profit motive, first and foremost.
yeah,
So you've automatically legally mandated transactionalized relationships for any company on the stock market this time.
true.
Giving things away for free is like the most radical thing you can do. The act of revolution.
Well, giving something away for free is the only way you get technology out into the public that people keep trying to put their name on and copyright and patent and say mine. Well, guess what? Now it's classified and you're either barred from working on it for the rest of your life or you're working on it under wraps and you're never going to get to do what you wanted with it for the world. So you want to bring some pride to invention and progress. Well, good luck with that. That's been the holdup for 100 years. If somebody would have just said, "Hey, this is awesome. Let's get it out there," and just blasted the information instead of "This is the thing I built. Here's the plans for it. Blow that up."
I was reading
We're done. We don't have anybody in charge of anybody anymore because there's so much technology that's been just buried.
But then when people try to disperse that information, the way that it happens, like here's all these testimonies, here's how it works. It is hard for people to digest because it doesn't come with stamp of approval
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's like, what would we do if like entities started saying like, oh, here's all the things we've been hiding this whole time, you know, like for free or affordable. It's gonna change things for
I
everybody.
don't want any of the things. I want the plans.
So
Yeah.
I want the information. I want the how-to,
So-
do-it-yourself, build-it-home guide.
Dude, there was a Canadian.
Like, I don't care about the things.
so when they changed
Because
that
I'll
whistle-
photocopy that and I'll put one on everybody's doorstep in my whole block.
the
At
whistle-
least one of those is gonna get copied like that again. And then I'm gonna be able to swallow that.
how do we do that? How do we do is that whistleblower act like that's supposed to help, right? It's supposed to not incentivize, but like alleviate the
Well,
fear.
no,
around
you're talking about
going
trying to get the information back out of the government. I'm talking about the people who made the damn inventions to begin with.
They're
They were not in the government.
right, but they're
They got
scared.
swallowed up by the government. Because they wanted to say, mine, copyright, patent. Well, classified now, get bent.
Well,
Your life's work is gone because we don't think it's safe for the public.
something that I came to realize from my buddy David, my mentor guy, is that people don't appreciate free for the most part, because in the context of like
Melly, stay.
giving out
Stay. Melly.
like law information, because David, he was trying to give it out for free to people and they didn't want it, just like I was trying to give it out free to the sovereign citizen people. They didn't want it. They people have the illusion that free is worthless. Doesn't matter, because in a capitalist world, what has been molded since the 40s,
Hey, Jay. How you doing, buddy?
there's always the idea that something has to have some kind of a price to it. And so if there's not a price to it, people think it's not worth anything, even though it could be the most awesome thing in the world that's priceless. If it's free, they don't care.
Here's for your energy box.
They don't care.
Good.
They'd rather pay somebody else that money because, well, there's a value attached to it, so there must be something to it. So, I think that's a realization I've come to, and it helped me get over a lot of my issues that I was dealing with like even my dad, because I was trying to help him with free information about what I'm learning about the law, since he got me into the law shit in the first place. But it's free. He doesn't care. But he'll go and pay other people for it. It's weird. So when David said that, it's like, wow, that's kind of mind-blowing, because that's kind of how it seems in my own experience.
No, I've seen a similar effect. Like, if you underprice a product, people will think there's something wrong with it and they won't even want to look at it.
Yeah,
Like, it can be 10 times better than anything else out there.
it's strange. So I don't know. That's my take on the free aspect, and I kind of, I'm with Lincoln on this too. That the people that make technologies, they need to stop relying on the government. Like, patenting it and things like that's nice because it protects your idea, but does it really? Because with everything that China does and with all the technology that they steal and all the ideas that they rip off from everybody, what good is your patent at that time? Is the U.S. really going to step in and enforce your rights in that regard? No. Because for some reason the world subsidizes China, even though they're trying to actively destroy us all.
No, they've already established a precedent of we're gonna come in and steal your fucking shit and classify it, and then let you either try to go through security clearance process to
and then
not
sell
be
it
able
to
to work
China.
on it anymore.
And then sell it to China or have China steal it from them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it blows my mind. So I don't know. It's a debacle, that's for sure. Debacle, whatever that word is.
Tobacco?
Smoke some tobacco to relieve the stress of the debacle.
Back to the tunnel beginning.
Yeah, but I feel like it'd be a million times more effective just to like go to any engineering department of any major university in America and find a mailing list of students, in the graduate program. Boom, you've got an access point to disseminate information of any kind of technical kind that will be, there's anybody gonna be able to stop all that. No more printed copy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I mean, sure they're still scanning the internet for whatever, it doesn't matter, dude. No one will get a printed copy. hand delivered to their doorstep. The only reason that we're living like cavemen, burning oil in car designs that have been around for 140 years is because everyone wants the same mind and patent and class and copyright and try to put their name on these inventions that are, you know,
Well, and the
I'm
fact,
going to save the world under my name.
right?
Yeah, okay. I mean, so what happened to Jesus, right? Makes you think you're going to be able to do any better.
Right. Well, and the fact that Exxon in the 70s knew that coal emissions and just coal and all that was a bad idea, and then they snuffed and hid the information from everybody.
Well, yeah, until the rain started burning off everybody's clear coat and paint.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's, I don't know. There's something to, I would say greed, which I would say is a destructive addiction, to get back on the topic of addiction that we were talking about. And I would say that all these things that we discussed and just brought up are probably based in that kind of destructive addiction to money, which now is just a piece of paper. Since the 30s, it's just been a piece of paper. Like, it's, I don't know. Those with philosophical mind, it's strange what we're living through.
Greed is the vice of, or the addictive vice that is causative to, you know, the hoarding, which is also the billionairing and the resource resource damning.
Blockading.
Yeah. Like,
Right.
nobody can use it, whether it's $1 billion or $1 billion gallons. Water or oil,
Right.
all the same thing. It's all a bunch of, for the most part, scarcity mindset, northern white people from, you know, European descent who are still like, man, we gotta stock up for the winter so we can make it. And this clear, deep back epigenetic state of it's important for me to have this accumulation of crap so that you know the winters don't get us.
Well, I don't think greed is particular to any ethnic group. You know.
I mean, when I'm looking through Forbes, I'm mostly seeing Northern European white guys.
What's
I'm
financial?
just saying, there's some correlation.
And Asians.
Areas.
Financial, like.
And
Yeah.
Asians.
Yeah, I guess.
Like if you look at like in the U.S., sure, but I mean you look at the global marketplace, it's
Probably,
it's
yeah,
a pretty
more diversified.
mixed bag.
Any time that there is resources somewhere, somebody wants to have most
Food, stuff, houses.
Land.
You know,
Yeah.
greed is like really just so baked into almost our biology, our history. We're barely even coming to a point in civilization where we can even begin to even talk about letting go of greed.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny because human rights, they're only from the 1940s. The idea of political rights, 1770s. So, like, you're right. We're in the infancy, the nascency of the world being brought out of that feudalistic mindset of serfdom to your liege, who's to the king, essentially. But it's kind of,
Caste systems.
yeah, caste systems. And ironically, it's kind of, it didn't really change, it just molded faces, because now instead of being subject to a king, we're subject to a state. And the state tells us what to do now. Instead of some single person, it's a body of people. So, like,
States of corporations that we've created.
so we've evolved a little bit, but kind of sort of not at the same time is how I kind of perceive the history. But I agree with you, like,
I think we've gone from wheelchair to crutches at least.
yeah, like in the grand scheme of everything, we're just a smidge into the realization of what?
Realization of self-realization.
Yeah.
Not credit with America lifting more people out of poverty than it has ever done in our history of time.
I would say so. The model that they made in the 1780s, the Constitution stuff, I was actually watching a clip today about disclosure. It was I think the security. I don't remember, but the representative was asking RFK Jr. about the history of the United States, and he said that in like the 1800s there was maybe 6 or 7, and now there's 190 countries that have followed our model. So I would agree 100% that because
we've given people more opportunity to have power.
Yeah.
Than time in history.
yeah, because I view it as America destroyed the divine right of kings because they said
They abolished the monarchy.
yeah, exactly.
And there was no divinely appointed ruler. There was a ruler chosen by the people.
That's a way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think when they basically showed the world that the idea of a divine monarch is nonsensical, because we all can stand up for ourselves and make our own country, all of the people of the world saw that and was like, well, that's smart. We don't need kings. So there was the whole age of revolutions in the 1800s in Europe and around the world. So I would agree with that sentiment.
I understand it has issues, but the greed is not just an American.
Oh no, for sure, for sure.
I mean, that's a large problem in Africa as well.
Yeah.
It's what's kept a lot of their citizens in the third world.
It's a people problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's human nature
human
until
problem.
you
Yeah.
learn how to ride the crest over the top of it and then suppress your greed down into be part of your character. So I like the idea of us talking more about addiction like we were, but in the context of COZSNUG. Like how did...
I actually have to go soon.
You do? Yeah, well that's perfectly fine whenever you need to, Alex. You can just walk right out. Yeah, how do we? Because every single one of us has all kinds of different addictions that we've had and have, and but we want relatability now. We want more life. We want to have more enjoyment. We want to get past our self-limiting beliefs. We want to get past the self-sufficiency ideas and the individualism ideas that were awesome and empowering at some level, but we want more. And so I know that I have approached the concept of addiction for quite a few years now and really pushed myself hard in a bunch of different ways to prove to myself that I'm not addicted. Like, not addicted, all right? So I was smoking weed every day for like 4 years when I first left the Mormon church. Hell yeah, I can smoke weed again. And I felt like I did it in an imbalanced way. And looking back on it, I actually, I'm way more conscientious of the impact that I had on those around me than I was then. I care more about it now than I did then. And so I can see the impact I was having by simply choosing to treat my smoking of weed, cannabis in a way that was just imbalanced. Love you, Alex.
Love you all.
See you, buddy.
Stay
Thank you so much for coming.
You too.
And now I'm way more conscientious of that. Like I want to not be. I don't want the fact that I would ever do anything to get in the way of you knowing that I want to be here 100% for you, no matter who you are. If you feel like you want a relator in me, I want to have that bandwidth for you. I want to have that. I want to be that. Genuinely, without any kind of obstructions or fettering that I placed on the situation because I have some sort of an addiction. That's where my mind has been on. That's why I like the idea of the topic, because I can see as we move into relatability and move out of our cocoons that we got to at least start having these conversations, because what does it mean to become a relatable thing if I spend most of my time in my cocoon and I keep on going straight back to it? there's nothing wrong with it, but what we're saying is, hey, I'm either afraid of something or. But I think it draws our awareness to the topic and then helps us like get to the point where we want to really be, if we want it. So anybody interested in this information is the only people that's going to be vibrating towards it and navigating towards it, right? What do you guys think about the concept of addiction in the context of COZSNUG or empowering empathy?
Well, I think it's like, this is kind of interesting. It's like, say you smoke weed, you don't feel like you're addicted. You feel like, you know, you're just doing it because you enjoy it. And it's not, you don't feel like it's hindering you, right? So you just say you're enjoying your present moment in that kind of a scenario and environment. And someone else won't approach you because they feel like you are being limited by that.
So there's that
does
just in and of
does that-
itself.
Yeah, so, you know, it's kind of a tricky situation there.
The stigmas.
Because someone's judging what
Yeah,
you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, which is
someone
always
could
the
judge you
case.
based on your religion or
Right,
clothes
so there's
or-
always something that
So maybe
somebody's
not-
gonna judge
that's
you
not
for,
the
no matter
person.
what you're doing. You could be doing completely sober, health craze, and being the healthiest person on the planet, and someone will judge you. Certainly.
Yeah.
You've never hung out in the punk rock crowds? Straight edgers are their own clique. Very true. And there's a whole lot of judgment that goes both ways.
Oh, interesting. I've never known about that or thought about that, but I can see that there.
I'm not addicted to weed or tobacco, but I'm addicted to them blended together.
Really?
Oh yeah, it is a crush for sure.
So
and I'm fully aware of it.
So a
I am
spliff is more addictive.
Yeah.
hands down. I am consciously addicted to weed. I know that. I know how it's limiting. I know what I'm sacrificing when I'm choosing that instead, and I have to choose to be kind to myself. Like this is part of the process. This is the necessary thing for right now, even in its limitations. I heard this thing earlier. I really liked it. Reverting in the service of progress. It's like sometimes you have to walk backwards to go forwards. Think of like a slingshot, right? It's like it starts here, it goes back here, only so it can go way further.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like these things in these states and in these places, like a low vibration is a different vantage point, where it's
Mhm.
like, you know, it has a negative connotation because it's like we look how far you can see, but it's like, but I can also see where I've
No,
been.
exactly. When you're just observing it instead of judging it as a this or that or black or white or just a polarized way of seeing it or duality way of seeing it.
I do know that at some point I'll let go of weed because I feel so much more motivated when I do. I dream way more. The idea to fruition time frame gets shorter because I'm just like way more active. But for right now, it's serving a purpose, and it's a crutch. It's a crutch. Like a crutch serves a fucking purpose when your legs hurt, you know. And like that's kind of where I am emotionally. Like there's so much going on in my world right
Yeah.
now. A lot of great things. A lot of really hard to deal with things, and I just fucking stiff upper lip it and smoke weed, and it helps. It helps me deal. It helps me not like lose control about things that I can't control. It helps with the acceptance part. Sometimes like fairness. Some things feel really fucking unfair. Like the world's happening to me. Weed helps me take a step back and be like, no, I see it for what it is, and but also takes my motivation to do anything about it. So it's a double-edged sword.
Straight off.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people can resonate with exactly that. That's a state of, that's been the state of a lot of us for a long time.
I feel like I smoke weed to do the things, and I do them more productively, and enjoy doing them. Not that I don't usually, but it's just like that's all I'm thinking about if I haven't already smoked. Like, yeah, I'm reading this book and it's really great, but you know what would make this better? A spliff. That's always what I do. It's just yeah.
Some people want their cup of tea while they're drinking,
Constructive,
reading their book, and some
destructive.
people want their can of beer, and some people want their spliff, and some people want their whatever a certain way.
Big Mac.
Big
Yeah,
Mac,
whatever it is.
soda.
I have a friend who likes to do ketamine before he reads books.
Wow.
Ketamine before book time.
I tried
That
reading.
was the associative effect. You're in a book.
Right.
That makes sense.
I don't know that I'd be able to.
No. Some people's eyes and the words on a page, that just doesn't work. That takes practice to be able to,
Audiobook.
Audiobook.
there you go. There you
Red
go.
Riding Hood.
Definitely, I mean, sometimes it's not a crutch, sometimes it's a ladder.
I love that. Yeah. It's still something you gotta carry around
Yep.
Yeah.
on your back, you know?
Yeah, good point. Yep.
No, it's like if you don't have your ladder.
The anti-drug folks, that always makes me laugh. It's like I'm fulfilled without it. Like, good for you. That's great. There's these things up there that you can't get to though. So you don't know what you don't know. You know.
Right, yeah, the people that judge drugs and have never even like touched weed or anything, when you're like judging someone for doing weed, like you don't even know what you're judging. It's like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, back in the day, remember when I was in junior high, it was like the gateway drug.
Right,
If you did
yeah, well, it's all
marijuana,
stories
you're going to be
unfolding.
doing heroin soon and strung out on crack cocaine.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the public education system has ever really like started to provide science-based factual information, the K through 12 arena at least, in regards to drugs. So it's like people don't, they see some of the crazy claims they're making, and like, this doesn't correlate with the reality that I'm seeing, and then it kind of encourages people to go dabble in things a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or else accept the narrative, and then you get the stigmas and the judgments of the people that have never really understood any of that at any sort of a realistic level, because the information they base that decision on or that opinion on is just like essentially some tradition rather than information.
Mm-hmm.
Health class is going to be real interesting in like 10 years when it's about harm reduction and here's facts. That'll be fun.
It's funny, I grew up during the DARE campaign, and it just made me want to do drugs.
It's like, wow, you guys brought a lot of attention to drugs all day long at that pep assembly. What are the best drugs?
Oh, we got
Is that
it.
what you said?
We got it in the classroom. There wasn't no pep assembly. His name was Deputy Ken Geddes, and he brought in all these drugs. He brought in a big old thing of weed and let us all smell it. And it's like, tell me if your parents know this or anything. Like, he was totally trying to turn us into little narcs. He's not a good human being. Let's just say that. So yeah, like that was my experience with the DARE program. Is here, smell this. It smells good, doesn't it? Yeah, here, yeah.
He was the first person that ever showed me meth.
Yeah.
Pulled their hand out of his shirt pocket. This is an 8 ball. A what?
Yeah. Good old Geddes.
My gym class did the same thing with eating disorders. Like a lot of girls have fallen into taking Epicac to throw up and doing this to lose weight, and we're all, if that works,
Right.
we can do that. Like we were dumb, clueless, small town kids, and so yeah, we're like, we're gonna try it. Didn't. It was supposed to do just the
Right, just by
opposite.
giving them the information, it gives you the option.
Then it's also like if you don't talk
Right, repression's the exact opposite problem.
What was
Like
that?
Mormonism's
What,
like
what,
ex-Mormons.
what exactly are you trying to accomplish with the presentation of that information? And is it a sermon or is it a conversation? Because if it's a sermon and you're not 100% cut and try fact and science and authentication and citable source base, that one fucking mistake you make is going to make handfuls of people say, oh, no, we got to go see for ourselves anyway.
Right, and when there's no questions that can go back and
So
forth.
if you're not having a conversation,
one-sided.
you're probably going to fuck it up.
Yep.
How do we responsibly tell kids that drugs aren't bad and that they are bad? You know, when you're teaching them like this is how you play with your dopamine, kids.
Responsible usage.
And
Right.
yeah, but it's like here's how
Physiology,
Here's
like
how you-
development of the human body and the brain, like on a for real level, instead of just like a half chapter in a book for 2 days in a health class that's half, old wives' tales.
That's gonna be
Well, just awareness.
I
awareness
agree.
of-
I'm like not looking for a reason to disagree. I'm just wondering how does that what does that look like? Here's how you responsibly use meth if you're gonna use it.
Right,
Here's why you shouldn't, but if you want to,
You know what, I have-
Well, they're doing
No, I
the
had
same
an
with sex ed. They're doing the same thing with sex ed. Like, they know kids are gonna do it, but let's be responsible about it, because here's the repercussions. They used to teach abstinence. That didn't work. That's like, don't do drugs.
Go
Well,
find a
that
homeless
doesn't
guy on the
work
street,
either.
ask him what's your drug
I've met
choice.
a lot of
You
families.
come talk to the
that,
kids, here's
like,
$20.
I've met
Let him, within, as long as he's
Around
keeping it,
kids.
on the school level of propriety, and that crowd, let him say whatever he wants. The kids will see that and they'll be like,
but it's
you
just
can't
the
do that's
same.
not what I want to be doing.
Alcohol around your kids responsibly, and you teach your kids how to
This
be
is
responsible.
a drug you like,
Use
why
drugs
tell them
around
why?
the kids responsibly. Your
Then
kids
they're
are
not,
gonna learn
not
how to
feeling
do
like they have to
Right.
experiment and go crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
my,
I mean, depends
my
on
parents
how it
drink
comes there. I
around
guess
me
there's some that could probably
responsibly,
really-
I think,
really
and it did not
backfire
teach
on
me
you.
responsible drinking. It just made it available.
You know, my parents are really responsible with it, so I.
But did they talk about it? Did they talk to you about it?
Yeah, it's in a way. My mom would, and she would suggest to drink at home. If you're gonna drink at home. Or if you're drunk out, just call me. I'll pick you up. No
You
harm,
won't
no
be in
foul.
trouble.
Yeah, that shit. But so I got that pass. Like a week later, I'm like, I can drink at home. I'm by myself. I just got fired. Fuck this. And then it was a huge problem. So it's like, providing a safe space wasn't enough. Saying that do it here safely wasn't enough to save me from all the detriment that came from alcohol.
More enabling than supportive.
Yeah, it wasn't like here's the terrible things that can happen. Hey, it runs in your family. Be careful. None of that.
That's the conversation part.
Yeah,
No,
no.
that everybody leaves out of this, and you can't put that in a sermon because everybody gonna listen to it anyway from a sermon standpoint. It's got to be a conversational angle. It'll be about this is what it, these are the things that it can do, and here's why, and here's some stories that can relate, that we can speak to it,
I didn't
Kim,
get that, but
Ask many questions.
With my kids, we're gonna talk about drugs for sure. What that looks like, I don't know. But
Kim, your story is fascinating. I would love to know more about what was the biggest thing that what was the biggest turning point on the alcohol for you?
what do you mean? When did I recognize that it was an issue?
Well, no, I mean, looking back at it, now, what is the thing you would say the most about it? Hey, here's what I learned about
If I can go back and talk
That
to
you wish
young
you knew
me,
when you were younger?
fuck, everything in me wants to say, don't ever do it. But then at the same time, I want to say, good luck, and go do it. Because all of the lessons that came out of those, there's not one pivotal, it got real bad this one time, I changed my life because of that. It was a series of those throughout my whole 20s. And why I wouldn't learn really hard lessons over and over again, I don't fucking know. Because addiction. Because I'd rather that than suffer working through it.
It was alcohol every day for you?
Yeah. And it was booze every day until that started to become a bad problem. Whereas I'm blacking out every time, and then just progressively drinking beer every day, and it getting worse. The amounts to blackout got less. The erratic behavior got worse with less. Where I'm blacked out before I'm slurring my words or tipping over. So when I'm acting like an asshole, it doesn't sound like it's because I'm blacked out. It just sounds like, who the fuck is this guy?
Wow.
And I'm just such a nice guy. So I get the pass every fucking day. Oh, he's just being drunk. Oh, it just can't be. He gets like that. I know it's a little opposite of how he is now, but it's okay. I just came up in a very alcoholic enabling circle of friends.
Gotcha.
A lot of love there, but also a lot of nobody holding me accountable. Especially not myself. So yeah, it took a bad one. It took a really scary bad one. Be I'm gonna either die or someone else is, or I'm gonna be in prison. So I can't do this. I got too many fucking close calls. I got angels that just kept saving me over and over again.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you. It's a tough one. I have a really, really close friend right now who's just in and out of. I went to a couple of AA meetings with him recently that were very eye-opening for me. and beautiful. I could see all the beauty of how AA has actually helped so many people. And they provide this social network that's like a, hey, when you're drinking all day every day, you feel pretty lonely and pretty isolated, and you don't have a sense of belonging, and so all of a sudden you're not going to have alcohol in your life. Well, at least you got all these people that can keep on saying, hey, can you give me 24 more hours? Can you give me 24 more hours? And you got this support group, and how powerful is that? Now you're gaining social skills, and you're empowering yourself,
To
and you're
hold you
growing.
accountable, because yeah, people that are unaware of addiction don't know. We don't know what to do. My boy's dad had addiction issues. I know how to handle. Like, how do you keep someone accountable? Unless they ask, unless they come to you and say, hey, can you keep me accountable for that? But yeah, I did. That was a whole lot of even more unhealthy people. Other separate issues.
Like enablers and put
Yeah,
it in
yeah.
to an extreme.
And it was, I mean, it
Sad,
was
dude.
good for certain aspects, but other aspects it was hard. But anyway, yeah, we've talked to our kids. We're open. We've been open with our boys about the effects of everything that's happened for their dad and his struggles, and I mean, I hope being honest about that, and they saw what we went through in that whole process. I hope, and they know if it's a gene, I don't know. I'm not going to discount that. Yes, they have a gene that says they could be or not. I don't. That's nothing I'm going to even say it's a hereditary thing. You have to worry about it.
You can't blame that,
It-
but it
no.
is kind of like increase.
But
one's
they've been
chances
around
of-
it. Maybe there's influence that could. So, I mean, we talk about it. And I want my kids to know. Let's always be talking about it.
Is-
And especially their dad is a really good support structure.
Is he clean now?
Yeah, he's been over for 5 years. And the longest amount of time while we were married for 16 years. The longest he was ever sober for was maybe a year and a half during that. So
Do you know if he like is with the Wharf Rats? Deadhead, right? Like Deadhead recovery group.
oh really?
Yeah.
I have no
They
idea.
hold meetings during set breaks. And
I don't know, but yeah, his support groups have been key for him. Like as long as he's not doing them all the time, but it helps keep him accountable and on track. And then now all of his family members, his kids, because he wants to be a good role model, and me and his family, and everyone's learned how to become a good support system. So, yeah, and we don't know. You don't know in the beginning. A lot of people don't know how to handle. They haven't grown up around it.
AA is wonderful. I think that it serves a person to a point, and then it's like the program swallows you up, and then becomes your life. It's a religion.
That was what I found from it. Was I came away, I kept on reading the 12 steps. And I was like, what is it about this? And it was just so blatant. All of a sudden I'm like, whoa, this is it. This is the epitome of, they only know about they help. This is all helpful and good. I'm not calling this a bad thing at all. But I can see the limiting nature of it by its nature at the end. Because they're asking you to point to something outside of you. And that by itself is not an empowering concept. It doesn't make you vibrate in the way where you empower yourself right now to be the one who self-heals, the one who self-actualizes, the one who
feels like
who
you're
goes
in
forth
full
and just
control,
be love.
not something else.
You're in charge of your life. You're manifesting with intentionality your existence. Now you're an empowered thing. And then you go around and you try to help other people be empowered that want to be, because you can see that they want it. And it's only those that you feel comfortable being around, because those are the ones you're naturally gravitating towards. So anyway, I sat down and I was just like, all right, well, what would it look like then to have these 12 steps? I mean, be fully honored, because look at all the value And look at how much, how many decades now of value that has added to this. Look at how alcohol has been a shit show across the planet in so many ways. Now, there's plenty of people that handle it and do it just fine and do a magnificent job with it, just like people do with all different kinds of things they call their medicines. But I sat down and I said, well, what would it look like to rewrite these things? And I rewrote the 12 steps. I know that sounds like pretentious or braggadocious or whatever, but I was like, no, what would be a helpful thing here? It's not like a worldwide organization. It's just a bunch of groups. Well, I wanted to send, and I wrote a letter up, and I'm going to send this letter to these prominent people around here who are involved in AA because it's just helpful information. It's just like honoring what they already have and saying, hey, now what if we were to also add in this kind of a thing? Now look how much it would help the organization.
An evolution.
It's like, hey, how about we evolve into keeping all that we have, but just change up this language the tiniest little bit to where now all of a sudden it's fully empowering.
Because we evolve in a society,
I don't know
so
how it's
our
structured.
programs should also
What's that?
I don't
evolve
know how it's
with
actually
it.
structured. It might be some sort of an estate that
Evolution.
would require a lot of legalese to get modified.
There's no big worldwide organization for AA. It's just a bunch of local groups everywhere. So
Right.
they're really just
So
kind
how
of
do you
organic.
modify the publication?
Well, all you do
There
is
is,
you
there's a
leak
central,
it, just the same.
central unit, there is
No.
a central unit
Yeah,
that
'cause there's
does
like-
all
You
the
meet them in the
publications.
break room, and then you say
That's
we're
not the
going
way
to
they
meet
were
after the
describing it to
meeting.
me.
They do conventions and stuff all the time.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's all
Yeah.
kinds of like big, huge groups everywhere, but there's not just one big, huge worldwide thing. I
I,
don't
I
think.
think there is.
There
That's who
is.
publishes the book.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Does it say copyright in the front somewhere?
Yeah, over and over again, a bunch of times.
Yeah, then somebody owns that copyright.
So when the little groups do start, there are certain, like they have to get registered with a center saying, hey, we're starting this group in this area. They want to make sure that they're spread in a good
Well, then it would
even
be
area
easier
where people
just to
can
go
get
right
to
straight
the
to them then.
groups.
Yeah, just take it right straight to them and just say, hey, this is everything is honorable.
They do
Now,
say,
how about we advance ourselves now? We know this now. This new information.
Let's evolve.
Let's evolve. Because every time you go to one, you see people talking about the limitations.
We've been burning gas for 140 years. Let's evolve.
then I think changing the structure of the meetings would help. This is a more beneficial setup than the meetings, in my opinion, because we allow crosstalk. We can answer each other. We can ask questions directly, and in that space you can't. It really feeds into narcissism, and it's just like, everyone, tell your story, but don't talk to anyone else about it. And like they try to, you can kind of underhand
Yeah.
be like, this reminds me of this other thing that happened once, and here's your answer to the thing, you know.
They're pretty limiting.
It is. It is.
And so why ever feel fettered? If I'm trying to go get myself out of prison, my own little mental prison, why walk into another prison and just to call it another?
I mean, sometimes that's your only option. Imagine like a room
Maybe
whose
I'm-
only access point is another room.
And maybe I'm mandated to do it or whatever.
I think that it's only designed to be a waiting room.
It really kind of, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Danny. Take care, buddy.
No, I mean, I preferred the NA to the AA crowd. I felt like people in NA were more serious about being there and more like genuine in scope and purpose, and it made it a lot easier to be there.
Are there lifers in NA too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I went to NA and there were lifers there.
But like you need them at the same time. They're the elders.
Well, they're the
whole-
muses. They're helping everything.
Gotta have somebody to sponsor.
Love to read the Year 12 Steps.
I'll let you read them. They're right over there on the computer. Yeah, I'll pull them up right after we're done.
It's like the 12 steps. What do you do when you get to the top of the stairs? You're just supposed to go back down to the bottom step and then like
Start back
help
up.
other
Help
people
other
up
people
the
up the
stairs.
stairs,
You know?
That's what they say in NA.
Well, no, that's what I can't remember. We were talking about it a few weeks ago. I was saying, well, you know that at some point you're gonna have you come up the stairs and you're good to go, and you know you having breakfast and whatever else. You realize you forgot your damn phone down there.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have to go back down the stairs, you know you're gonna have to go back down the stairs. You might as well start learning really fucking fun ways to go down the
And
That
see
way
how
the
fast
journey,
you
that
can
way
go
the
up.
journey back up isn't such a drudgery, you know?
All of that. All of that.
But then, and also, but then at that point, you're also, you know, picking and choosing when you're gonna go down the stairs. It's not like you're just walking past them and trip and fall down them.
How many?
Which is kind of the more
Well, a
ad
lot of
hoc
people do
relapse
look
sort
at
of
it that
method.
way. No,
The
I
what?
just fell.
So, which is the more
Gotta start
ad
back
hoc
over.
relapse method is some people do just trip and fall down the stairs.
How many up and down trips does one have before you're like, the trip up is just fucking
Before you're like, I'm
difficult?
buying a house without a basement.
Yeah.
Buy a new phone. Don't do your laundry if you have to go down to the basement.
Yep, only Ramblers with the stories up from now on.
Yeah, if I'm going upstairs, it's gonna be up, you know, it's gonna be upward in direction for higher than baseline.
Buy a moving walkway, a ramp.
Okay,
You don't have any stairs to do
elevator.
it.
You stay
Fire
upstairs
pole.
long enough to install an elevator.
There
So
you go.
you can just like, you're like, oh, and then you're back to normal.
Don't forget the
Like a
stairs.
big, huge
Yeah.
elevator that's so big, it's
Drop
like, you call it a
down
nature
and shoot
elevator, it's like
back
all
up.
nature inside of it.
Anywhere that's got the room for an escalator has room for a fire pole.
Right.
There you go.
Going up the fire poles, there's stairs, and you already know how to use them. So
You got the escalator,
Yeah.
fire pole there.
Yeah,
Right.
you turn the fire pole into a stripper pole. That way it's spinning the whole time and getting off of it at the top is the least more challenge.
There you go.
Right, for the toughest of us.
Gotta strike a pose at the top.
It's because I'm gonna make the trip back up the stairs as fun as the trip down. Usually myself.
yeah, it's fun. It really is. Like, oh yeah, radical accountability is a thing.
Well, and then the relatability. You're like, oh yeah, I'm down here where I can relate to all these people, but I just came from there, so I can bring them some fresh things that might help them come too.
Yes, I mean, but then that's the plight of the dude from the cave. You know? Then he tried to, yeah. Yeah, he tries to. They kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
I'm not saying don't try to help people either. You know?
Help people who want to be helped.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
9 o'clock, you turn that off.
so,
I was just thinking the conversation was flowing too well to stop it. Yeah. Good conversation.
Yeah, we don't ever have to stop, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering, we can always still be recording,
Oh,
but
yeah.
is there a timeline on the streaming?
No.
That's-
I
Does
noticed,
that
I
matter?
noticed one night it cut itself off.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
done that a couple times. I don't know why.
We cut itself off 10 minutes early last time.
Yeah, on a timer.
Yeah, it doesn't tell me when it does either. It's like, I gotta figure that out.
You give it a second. But yeah, definitely
Have
should
you
be
have
always
you
recording
given
conversations
Google
that
your
happen.
photo ID or anything like that?
Yeah, our stuff's verified.
Oh, then what the hell?
That's how you sold me on this.
Well, thank
I
you
would've
so
came
much for
anyway.